Get back in here. Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nutley, and I am the Comic Hero. Coming to you from Southern Realms Comics and Games here in Ruston, Louisiana. And you're probably wondering who I was talking to. That happens to be none other than J.J. Gunter, the real keeper of this castle. Yeah, he was pushing the door open for me, and I said, all right, I'm coming in. But I want to thank everyone who watched episode 215 of the show, which was the first show that I did outside Louisiana. I did it over at Origin Story Comics in McDonough, Georgia. Really had a great time doing it. I want to thank the fine folks over at Origin Story Comics for allowing me to do it there. But this is my. But I just want to say this: if you have a comic book store in your city and you want me to come by and do an episode of the Comic Hero Show, please let me know. Really, this has been something that I've been wanting to do for years, and so far I've done episodes in here in Ruston, Monroe, West Monroe, Shreveport, Bossier City, Lafayette, and just recently McDonough, Georgia. But I don't want to stop there. Let's keep this going. All right, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. All right, last week's episode I asked, who was the villain in the first Iron Man movie from 2008? Well, the correct answer was Obadiah Stane. Now, if you said Obadiah Stane, or Ironmonger, I accepted your answers. And 10 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their names have been entered in a drawing for a free tee, and that drawing takes place right now. So, the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is Kit LeBlanc from Karen Crow, Louisiana. So congratulations, Kit. You win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right, here's the question for next week's episode, and this one is a Secret Warriors / Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. question. True or false? Quake, aka Daisy Johnson, was originally created for Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then made her transition to comics. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee in next week's episode of the show. Now, D'Angelo Ballou from Youngstown, Ohio has requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one features an unstoppable force going up against an unstoppable force and an unmovable object. Representing Marvel, we have Darth Vader. And also representing Marvel, we have the Juggernaut. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Darth Vader versus the Juggernaut. Darth Vader possesses force powers and wields a self-crafted lightsaber. The Juggernaut possesses superhuman strength and durability, invulnerability via mystical force field, virtually unstoppable momentum, and immunity to mental attacks via his helmet. Who will win? The Force will be strong, but not in Darth Vader. Vader would try Jedi mind tricks on Juggernaut. This proves to be unsuccessful due to the latter's immunity to mental attacks via his helmet. Vader realizes that and tries to telekinetically remove the Juggernaut's helmet. This also proves to be unsuccessful due to the Juggernaut's mystical force field. The Juggernaut then goes on offense and barrels into Darth Vader. The Juggernaut then grabs Vader and smashes him into 4 vacant buildings. Just as the Juggernaut is about to smash him into a 5th building, Vader telepathically summons his lightsaber and rams it into one of the exposed areas of the Juggernaut's helmet, lobotomizing him in the process. Darth Vader wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that fight, and if you have fight requests for future episodes, contact info is down there. All right, then, it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics. All right, I'm only going to talk about one thing in this segment of Comically Speaking, and that is the big earth-shattering news that has been creating shockwaves throughout the country and throughout the world. and that is Jamie Foxx being casted as the lead role in an all-new Spawn movie. Now, I think this is great. I mean, I've been a fan of Jamie Foxx ever since he was on the cast of In Living Color, and I mean, he can do it all. I mean, he's a great actor. He's a great comedian. He's a great musician. I mean, and also, I don't care what anyone says. I'll say this to my dying press. If there was one thing that I really loved about Amazing Spider-Man 2, it was his role as Electro. He did that role justice. Or should I say, justice! But I'm really thrilled about this. I mean, not to take anything away from Michael Jai White, who played the lead role in a Spawn movie that came out back in 1997. But Jamie Foxx playing the role of this amazing character that, by the way, was created by Todd McFarlane in the early 90s. I think this is going to be great. I mean, when it comes out, I'll sure watch it. All right, but Jamie Foxx casted as Spawn. All right, then. That's it for Comically Speaking. Now then, let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, first up is Wonder Woman number 47. X-Men Blue number 28. Justice League No Justice number 4. Marvel 2-in-1 The Thing and the Human Torch number 6.
Hey, sit down over there.
Star Trek Boldly Go number 18. And finally, and I'm so excited about this book, The Man of Steel number 1. Now, I need to talk about this. This book, now, for those of y'all who don't know, the last, in Action Comics number 1000, there were these stories. And the last one was written by Brian Michael Bendis, who's the new Superman and Action Comics writer. And it was penciled by Jim Lee, and it talks about, it's called The Truth. Now, what that's referring to is to what really happened to Krypton. It didn't explode due to natural causes.
Yes, it did.
All right, Alan. But no, it was actually destroyed by another alien at the request of Jor-El. And then years later, he finds out that there were actually some folks that Superman and Supergirl had actually escaped from Krypton. And then also others like Zod and Ursa. And he goes after them, and he's for only one reason: to kill them. Now, there have been some speculation that someone in this miniseries is going to die, and DC has been very tight-lipped as to who that's going to be. But Brian Michael Bendis, I've always trusted your judgment, even when you started on Avengers and your first story arc was called Avengers Disassembled. But at the same time, I always trust your judgment. I mean, you have a tendency of tearing things down only to build things up or to rebuild things. But if you kill any of Superman's main support characters, then Admiral James T. Kirk has a message for you. Go ahead, Admiral.
I have had enough of you.
There you go. All right, that's 6, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 8,701. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. True or false? Quake, a.k.a. Daisy Johnson, was originally created for Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and later made her transition to comics. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tea in next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Kit LeBlanc from Karen Crow, Louisiana, who won a free tea in this week's episode. You know what? I always enjoy doing the show. Always do. And there have been folks that have discouraged me from doing the show, but you know what? I don't care. I've been doing this for 5 years, and I'll be darned if I'm going to stop. So I'm not telling you to keep your comments to yourself, because who does? It's a no filter world. But I'm just saying, if you're wanting me to stop doing the show, or you intend for me to stop doing it, you're sadly mistaken.
Oh, okay.
I don't give up for anyone. I enjoy what I do, and as long as I'm breathing in and out, I'm going to keep on doing it. Now, I've said that. Now, today is June 2nd. This is the first of 2 days of Longview Comic Con. Now, I said earlier that I was going to go, but due to my work schedule, I wasn't able to make it. I mean, the way it was planned, I was going to do half of the episode of the show here and the other half over at Longview Comic Con. But since, the man's got to work. And since that happened, then I'm just going to have to wait till next year. But I'm happy to say that not only in 2 months will I be going to GeekCon in Shreveport, I'm also going to be going to Mississippi Comic Con in Brandon, Missouri. Jackson, Missouri. Jackson. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm dead serious. I love Louisiana. I love my home state. But I believe that if I have a web series that folks all over the world can watch. So if anyone all over the world can watch, the least I could do is show up in different states and different countries, which is what I want to do. I don't want to say, like I said, I love Louisiana, but at the same time, I don't want to settle. We should never settle. We miss out on so many blessings, so many opportunities, all because we get too comfortable and decide to settle. Can't do that, folks. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. You can't settle. Anyway, I'm Victor Nolly on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 217. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero. Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Coming to you from Southern Realms Comics and Games here in Ruston, Louisiana. And I want to thank everyone who watched episode 215 of the show, rather. Now, do that again.
Now it's your turn.
Alright, first up is Wonder Woman number 47.
Okay, you ready? Okay, leave your shirt.
X-Men Blue number 28.
I knocked him off.
Oh. Okay, this is